This course is about questioning what we usually take for granted in order to potentially open our eyes to new ways of understanding health-related issues, which might be better for people and societies than the ones that dominate now. This means scrutinizing health-related issues through a lens that questions underlying assumptions, power dynamics, and social structures. We start with the basics. What is health, and how do you get it? In this lecture, and section 1 of the course more broadly, we begin by questioning our very understanding of health as a concept, which we just naturally take for granted in our everyday lives. We know that health is an essential concept in different cultures through various indicators like cultural practices and rituals, celebrations and festivals, the health models and frameworks that they use, religious and philosophical teachings, art and literature, and, of course, the social norms and expectations of different cultural groups. The cultural significance of health is often evident in the symbolism of different groups, art, literature, and media, and importantly in language, so the way that we speak about health. The rich terminology concerning health and illness in different languages signifies its importance. Words, idioms, and phrases often reflect cultural attitudes towards health, wellness, and disease. Let's consider some examples. In Maori culture, many of you will recognize the koru, which is often used in traditional art, tattoos, and carvings, and represents the idea of health and well-being as central to life. The hongi is a conventional greeting symbolizing sharing breath, life, and health. This ritual underscores the centrality of health as it represents the exchange of vital life force, or ha, and acknowledges the interconnectedness of individuals' well-being. In Te Reo Maori, the Maori language, terms related to health are deeply embedded in culture. In westernized cultures, like the Pākehā culture in New Zealand, health-oriented products, from organic foods to fitness trackers like Fitbit, symbolize the cultural importance placed on health. The frequent use of phrases like staying fit, eating clean, and living a healthy lifestyle in conversations and advertisements reflects the deep-seated value placed on health. The idea that health is wealth highlights the cultural belief that physical well-being is crucial to a good life. Workout plans, weight loss journeys, and nutritional advice are commonly featured in magazines, social media, and television programs. The language used in these publications often includes terms like transformation, body goals, clean eating, and wellness journey. This visibility through influencers, celebrities, and other prominent people creates an aspiration to replicate these lifestyles, and this highlights the societal emphasis on maintaining a certain health standard. In Native American culture, the medicine wheel is a symbol used by various tribes to represent health and well-being. It often includes 4 quadrants, each representing different aspects of life: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and their interconnectedness. This might remind you of some of the Maori health models like Te Whare Tapewha. So this idea of interconnectedness is captured by the Native American concept of walking in balance, which signifies living in harmony with oneself, others, and the natural world. This concept emphasizes the importance of maintaining a balance in all aspects of life for overall health. Ceremonies such as the sweat lodge and healing rituals aim to restore balance and health. And in this way, we can see both Maori and Native American culture reflecting the holistic view of health that many indigenous societies and cultures have. The examples I shared highlight how the concept of health is central to cultures worldwide and encompasses important ideas, deeply held values, and ideals. So if we look at the examples from Maori and Native American cultures, we can see how these cultures think of health as a dynamic and ongoing process rather than a static state. And as I mentioned, they take a holistic view in which health encompasses not just physical well-being, but mental and emotional stability. In Maori culture, the concept of hauora encompasses physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being, similar to the Native American idea of walking in balance. And this shows that health is a multifaceted concept that permeates various aspects of life. Health is deeply intertwined with the environment, and this holistic view recognizes that human health cannot be separated from the health of the ecosystem. In contrast to these views, the Western view is more focused on the individual and the body. There's an intense preoccupation with monitoring and improving physical well-being, and so the focus is on physical symptoms, fitness, and wellness. The idea is that health is a continuous process of self-improvement and self-optimization. We're all familiar with phrases like no pain, no gain, and strong is the new skinny, and these illustrate the cultural valorization or glorification of effort and discipline in pursuing health. And underlying this, we can see that what Western cultures value is self-discipline, self-control, and this pursuit of an idealized physical state. In Western societies, health is more than just the absence of illness. It's intertwined with beauty and well-being. And as we know from all of the influences that we'll see on social media, it's a marker of success, happiness, and social status. So what I'd like to highlight from these examples is how different ways of understanding health originate within particular histories of a place and a culture, and these are tied together. So as Radley, a very well-known critical health psychologist, argued, we cannot assume that words like ache, pain, or doctor, or even health and illness for that matter, refer to things that remain the same wherever and whenever they are applied. This is true of the experiences of the sick, as well as the practices of the physicians and the nurses who attend to them. So the examples highlight how health is situated in particular places at particular times in history. They also highlight how health is not merely the absence of illness, but a rich, multifaceted idea deeply embedded in cultural beliefs, practices, and language. Critical health psychology recognizes that health and illness are inherently relational concepts, so they're defined in relation to one another. Health gains its meaning through the contrast with illness, and illness is only understandable in light of what it means to be healthy. So they rely on one another for meaning, and it's impossible to fully understand one concept without considering the other. But I'm not suggesting that it's a simplistic binary of healthy versus ill. Rather, we can see health and illness as existing on a continuum. So that this means that health isn't just the absence of illness. Another important point is that health and illness are not fixed in absolute states. They're dynamic and fluid and influenced by our biology, psychology, and the social world around us. So in taking this understanding of health, critical health psychology considers the complexities of well-being, including psychological, social, and cultural dimensions, and the spectrum of health experiences. So we recognize that individuals can simultaneously exhibit aspects of both health and illness. If we think of a person who is managing a chronic condition like diabetes, they would be considered to be ill because they have a disease. Similarly, a person with a disability might have limitations in certain areas of their functioning due to their condition, and this could be considered an aspect of illness. However, these people might also have a healthy diet, they might engage in regular exercise, and so on. And despite their illness, they're also embodying healthful behaviors. So, you may be wondering, what is the point of recognizing and unpacking different understandings of health and illness? Why is taking this critical perspective necessary or valuable? And these are really important questions to ask because they really speak to the heart of the matter and the crux of this course. And to answer these questions, I want to draw on the example of the HIV/AIDS epidemic in South Africa, where I come from, during the early 2000s. And at that time in South Africa, we saw a massive spike in mortality rates and infection rates, when strangely the rest of the world was seeing the opposite. And the reason for that was that there had been a major breakthrough in treatment in the form of antiretroviral drugs. Now, many of you may know antiretrovirals, or ARVs as they're called, allow people to live with the virus for many years and to live a reasonably long and healthy life. However, in South Africa, the president, Thabo Mbeki, was convinced by AIDS denialists, much in the same way that we see people who are anti-vax nowadays, or vaccine denialists. And he refuted the idea that HIV was caused by a virus and spread in the ways that we know HIV is spread. And the government refused to fund ARVs and advocated instead that people follow a particular diet and have a healthy lifestyle. And of course, ARVs are incredibly expensive and were even more so at the time, and out of reach of most people in the population, and therefore millions of people suffered and died who did not need to. And this was because of the understanding of health and illness in that particular context of HIV/AIDS. So this is a very vivid example of how the ways that health and illness are conceptualized have important implications for how we approach health matters. And this includes the experiences of people who are ill and the practices of those who attend to them. And in some ways, like the South African example, it can be really a matter of life and death. Each way of understanding health has a different way of behaving and responding attached to it. So at the individual level, people's culture influences how they understand and interpret their symptoms, how they cope with the challenges of ill health, and even their willingness to seek care. And we delve into this in more depth in section 2. At a more social level, at the broader level, different definitions of health structure how the world is viewed and decisions are made. And as Baum points out, for example, health policies are shaped by policymakers' assumptions about what health is. And the South African example of whether or not to fund ARVs is an example. So different understandings of health and illness shape how people experience and respond to disease and how society organizes the treatment of illness, if at all. In other words, understandings of health and illness have very real material consequences. And as I said, in some cases, life and death. Seeing how health and illness have been understood differently in previous times or other places allows us to say something not only about the experience of health and illness and how it's changed, but also to explore the purposes that are achieved through particular means of defining health. And that is something that we continue in the remainder of this course.